Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Leni Anissa from Pancasila and Citizenship Education Program Studi and NIM 200520058. Okay, at the first meeting discussion about one tenses. Tenses are verbs indicate time. Tenses are divided into a present, past, and future. One, present. Present is also divided into simple present. Simple present, that something that is habitual or something that happens repeatedly. One sentence formula for the verb after the subject. For the subject, I, we, you, they, and the plural subject. Positive subject plus verb 1 plus object. Negative subject plus do not plus verb 1. Asked, do plus subject plus verb 1. For he, she, it, name, and single subject. Positive subject plus verb 1 plus s. Negative subject plus does not plus verb 1. Asked, does plus subject plus verb 1. Example, Hasan does to the school. Sentence formulas for adjective, nouns, and adverb after the subject. Subject plus to be plus verb, noun, and adverb. Next, present continuous. Present continuous state the activities that are being done while the conversation is taking place. Sentence formula for the word after the subject. Positive subject plus to be plus verb 1 in. Negative subject plus to be plus not plus verb 1 in. Asked, to be plus subject plus verb 1 in. Example, she is living in Bandung. Sentence formula for adjective, noun, and adverb after the subject. Subject plus to be plus being plus for adjective, noun, and adverb. After that, present perfect. Present perfect denotes a recently complete action. Example, she has gone. Next, present perfect continuous. The present perfect continuous describes activities that were carried out in the past and are still being carried out until how and are even very likely to continue. Example, she has been learning English for 3 years. Furthermore, the tenses in past. 1. Simple past. Simple past is talking about an action that happened in the past. Example, he bought a book yesterday. 2. Past continuous. Past continuous stating an event that was taking place at the time in the past when another event occurred. 3. Past perfect. Past perfect is stating events that have been completed at a certain time in the past. Example, after Hassan had studied, he slept. For past perfect continuous. Past perfect continuous is stating events that occurred from the past and stopped at a certain time in the past. Example, they had been playing football. And lastly is filter. Filter divide one simple filter. Simple filter is starting the activities that will be carried out in the filter. 2. Filter continuous. Filter continuous is an action that will occur at a certain time in the future. Example, he will be reading at 8 p.m. 3. Future perfect. Future perfect is stating something that will be complete in the future that has started in the past. 4. Future perfect continuous. Future perfect continuous is an activity that takes place for a certain time in the future. 5. Past future. Past future is stating events that will be done but in the past not now. 6. Past future continuous. Past future continuous is to express the activities that will be carried out in the past. 7. Past future perfect. Past future perfect is an activity that occurs before other activities in the past. And last, past perfect future continuous. Past future perfect continuous is to state activities that will be happening in the past. After the tenses, their verb auxiliary. For example, to be, do, have, and modals. After that, a noun. Nouns are words that name people, place, and so on. Nouns are divided into two, namely singular and plural. There are also adjectives. Adjective is a word that functions to describe noun. Next, number in English. In ordinal number, cardinal number, and fraction. Next, there is pronoun, gerund, degrees of comparison, a few, a bit, a little, and less. Next, less and less, either and neither. Use of some, many, much, any, and a lot of. Next, relative clause, yet, just, still, and already. How to say time, made symbolic. After that, some terms that appear in everyday conversation. And last, irregular verb. Next, meeting two. Efficient, reading, impulse, fast, adequate comprehension, and memory within a reasonable time frame. The first step in determining how to read a place of reading is associating with difficult. Following this, some important characteristics to consider. 1. The format. The physical arrangement of a page can affect how readable content is. For example, it is often more difficult to read a page that is solid block of print that it takes to read a page where ID are broken down by little space and lists to creative and visual material. The inclusion maps, picture, chart, and chart can also influence your reading. Graphic elements present detailed information and require careful study. 3. Typography features. Both features such as bold, italic, color type, and heading often makes page easier to read and understand. 4. Language feature. Factors such as sentence length, paragraph length, and vocabulary level larger determine how difficult the material is to read. 5. Subject matter. Material that address everyday newsworthy topic usually requires inaccurate intention. Shape long. Long material demands continuous concentration and you to connect a large number of ID and maintain a broader focus and perspective. 7. Organization. Material developed regular and integral from point to point. Other hardware are more loosely organized, and the outdoor stock patterns are thus more difficult to identify. There is no rule to use in deciding how much to slow down or speed up to compensate for differing degrees of difficulty. Instead, you must use your judgment and adjust your reading of the condition at hand. For example, you can deliberately slow down if you encounter a passage with long, complex sentence or an article that present complex ID or use technical vocabulary. Or you can deliberately increase your speed if you come across material that present simple, straightforward ID and use everyday vocabulary. In addition to adjusting your rate, you should also alter the manner in which you read the material, using different techniques to solve different types of material. Okay, meeting 3 discuss about understanding paragraph. In understanding the paragraph, the first thing to do is what the paragraph is about. After that, understand each sentence and what they are saying. Next, have to see how this sentence relate to each other. Finally, to understand the main point of the paragraph, one must consider what all the sentence mean when taken together. A paragraph is a group of related ideas. They relate to one another in the sense that each is about the same person, place, thing, or idea. Subject or idea is called topic. Paragraph main idea. The paragraph main idea is the point that the whole paragraph makes to identify topic and main idea in paragraph. It will help you to understand the difference between general and specific. A general idea, a broad idea that applies to a larger number of specific items. The term clothing is general because it refers to a larger collection of specific items like shirt, blouse, shirt, surface, and so on. A specific idea or term is more detailed or particular. It refers to individual items. The word scarf, for example, is a particular term. The bright red light scarf is even more specific. Okay, meeting to discuss about understanding paragraph. In understanding the paragraph, the first thing to do is what the paragraph is about. After that, understand each sentence and what they are saying. Next, have to see how this sentence relate to each other. Finally, to understand the main point of the paragraph, one must consider what all the sentence mean when taken together. A paragraph is a group of related ideas. They relate to one another in the sense that each is about the same person, place, thing, or idea. Subject or idea is called topic. Paragraph main idea. The paragraph main idea is the point that the whole paragraph makes to identify topic and main idea in paragraph. It will help you to understand the difference between general and specific. A general idea, a broad idea that applies to a larger number of specific items. The term clothing is general because it refers to a larger collection of specific items like shirt, blouse, shirt, surface, and so on. A specific idea or term is more detailed or particular. It refers to individual items.
The word scarf, for example, is a particular term. The bright red light scarf is even more specific. After that, meeting for discuss about topic sentence. Usually, one sentence express the main idea. This sentence is called the topic sentence. The topic sentence can be placed anywhere in the paragraph. The following describe the position most likely to be found. 1. First topic sentence, often placed first in the paragraph by starting the main point and then explaining. 2. The last topic sentence means cutting in the last paragraph. So, the reader cuts to the main point and start if at the end. 3. The topic sentence in the middle means placing in the paragraph in the middle. So, before going to the topic, read to or introduce the main idea. Those who follow the main idea explain or describe it. First and last topic sentence. Sometimes the main idea will be mentioned at the beginning of the paragraph and again at the end.
Next, at the 5 meeting discussion about the main idea of sentence and sentence detail. First, in the main idea of sentence. Each sentence has a key idea. In the key idea, there are two parts, namely simple subject and simple predicate. Simple subject describe noun and simple predicate explain verb, which tell what the person or object has done and has done. In order to read the sentence effectively, we can do this there, namely 1. Look for the most important information in the sentence. 2. Think of certain group of words that are more important than others. 3. Try to see how the part of the sentence connect. However, if the sentence is long and complete, then looking for the main idea is with 1. About who or the sentence. 2. What happened in the sentence. Example, violence in sport at both the amateur and professional level has increased dramatically over the past 10 years. So, in that sentence, the answer to the question who or what sentence is it about? The answer is violence. verb inscribes remainder of the sentence. Describe the places and level at which failure occurs and how failure increases over a period of time. Next, there is a detailed sentence. In understanding the detail of a sentence, we can look at the detail that influence its meaning. Most of the detail add or change the meaning of the main idea. Usually answer questions about what kind of subject or predicate, which, where, when, how, or why. In a sentence, we must pay attention to how the detail change, limit, or add to the meaning of the key idea. For example, chemistry is actually a language, a way of describing the things we see every day that explain how chemistry is a language. Additional example for the main idea of the sentence is the average Indonesian life up to 65 years. The key idea of this sentence, Indonesian life, it is expressed by the simple subject and predicate. The simple subject of the sentence is Indonesian. It tells what the sentence is about. The word the and the verb give more information about the subject, Indonesian, by telling which one. The main part of the predicate is the verb plus. This tells the condition of the average Indonesian. The rest of the sentence give more information about the predicate by telling how many years life. After that, additional example for sentence detail are 1. The scientists with the most the moral attitudes are checked for tour study of cleaning. So, with the most liberal attitude, it tells us which scientists only choose with the most liberal attitude encourage further study. 2. The film about the death of the basketball star was depressing. So, about the death of a basketball star explaining which not all movies are depressing. After that, meeting 6, discussion about combined sentence and related sentence. Many sentences express more than one KAD. Done for 1 for 3 reasons. 1. To clarify idea. 2. To emphasize their relationship. 3. After that, to show that they are just as important. For example, some students decide to take final exam and others choose to read their papers. Combined ideas are by punctuation in the sentence. 1. Semicolon. Example, some students had semicolon, match, other enjoyed it. 2. A comma followed by the conjunction that is but or not so far yet. Example, data processing is my major, so I had to take some my course. After that, relate sentence. Writer often develop sentence by ending relate but less important id. Relate id have their own noun and verb, but it express incomplete and non-independent thinking. For example, the underlined part of the following sentence has a noun and a verb, but it does make sense until you read the entire sentence. Example, after we left the party, we stopped off pizza. A more important idea is the word stop to eat pizza. The first part of the sentence provides reason explaining the second part. Less important idea usually serve one or more function, such as explaining starting cause, starting purpose, or reason explaining condition or circumstances, and expressing time relationship.
Example 1. Describe. Example, my sister, who is X years old, got the chicken pox. 2. Express cause. Example, because I was out jogging, I missed your phone call. 3. State purpose or reason. George skipped his English class so he could study for his psychology test. 4. Describe condition or circumstances. Example, if I pass introductory psychology, I will register for cheat psychology. 5. Express time relationship. Example, while I was waiting for the bus, I review my biology notes.
Thing 7. Discuss context clues. Context clues we can help you to understand the meaning of unfamiliar word. Word around correct word or sentence context, giving us clues about what word fit and make sense. Hints. Shock hints are called context hints. There are 4 types of context clues to look for, namely 1. Definition hints. The reader can define a word directly by providing a short definition or providing synonym. Besides, the reader might define a word indirectly. Indirect definition usually follow the word and are indicated by comma, brackets, or headness. 2. Example of hints. The meaning is to provide an example, explain a word. 3. Contrast hint. Sometimes used to determine the meaning of an unfamiliar word, a word, or phrase in a context that has the opposite meaning. 4. Inference instruction. That is, we can often find out the meaning of an unfamiliar word by using logic and reasoning skill. Limitation of context clues. There are two limitations to the use of context clues. 1. Context clues rarely produce a complete definition. The best we can do is guess what it means. 2. Sometimes the sentence does not contain a clue about the meaning of a word. So, the following will be given an example, namely 1. An example in the definition manual is induction, which refers to the process of reasoning from the noun to a noun. Then, the probability of an event occurring is important in the field of statistics. 2. An example of a clue that is, suppose we don't know the meaning of the word toxic. Then we can find the meaning of the word toxic in the following sentence. The toxic materials such as arsenic, pesticides, asbestos, and lead can cause bodily harm. So, in that sentence, give for example of poisonous substances. Hence, it is concluded toxic is poisonous. 3. An example in the contrasting clue, one of the dinner guests succumbs to the temptation to have a second slice of cake, but the other refuses. We know that guests who give in are different from guests who resist. However, Sidebite suggested this because the author refused the second dessert. Hence, we can say guests give up and head in. Thus, giving in to the opposite meaning of resistance. For an example in the inference manual, Bob is quite flexible. He is a good student, a top athlete, a great auto mechanic, and a government cook. So, in the sentence, the Bob is successful in various types of activities, and it could be argued that being versatile means being able to do many things to the full.
Okay, at the meeting, a discussion about word structure. Many words in the English language are made up of word parts called roots, suffix, and prefix. The word parts have specific meaning that, when added together, can help you determine the meaning of the word as a whole. 1. Prefix. Prefix appear at the beginning of many English words. They alter the meaning of the root to which they are connected. 2. Roots. Roots carry the basic or core meaning of a word. Hundreds of root words are used to build words in the English language. If you know that the root teach or ditch means tell or say, then you would have a clue to the meaning of subwords, or this text means speak for someone to write down. Dictation means spoken to be written down, and diction means wording or manner speaking. 3. Suffix. Suffix are words ending that often change the part of speech of word. For example, adding the suffix y to the noun cloth produces the adjective cloudy, accompanying the change in part of speeches a shift in meaning. If you know the meaning of a root word and the ways in which different suffix affect the meaning of the root, you will be able to figure but a word meaning when a suffix is added. After that, how to use word parts. When you come upon a word you do not know, keep the following pointers in mind. 1. Look for the roots. Think of this as looking for a word inside a larger word. Often a letter or two will be missing. 2. If you do not recognize the root, then you will probably not be able to figure out the word. The next step is to check its meaning in a dictionary. 3. If you do not recognize the root, next look for a prefix. If there is one, determine how it changes the meaning of the word. 4. Locate the suffix. If there is one, and determine how it further adds to or changes the meaning of the root word. 5. Try out the meaning in the sentence in which the word was used. substitute your meaning for the word and see whether the sentence makes sense.
Okay, well, that's the result from the first meeting to the eighth meeting. That is all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.